Thanks to Jamie for giving me this gem for Brave Little Books this week. Here we have The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides. Some of you might be intimidated by this book. It is kind of big. It's written by a total egghead, and the characters are all decidedly well read, whether it's in philosophy, early Christianity, the biology of yeast cells, or, last but not least, the Victorian novel. And it is in Victorian literature where the title literary device, The Marriage Plot, most famously resides. Okay, I might be a minority on this, but I don't think you need to know anything about any of the above to enjoy reading The Marriage Plot. At its heart, this is just a modern-day love story. It's about a bunch of lost college graduates clinging to each other as they do their own soul-searching in an uncertain world. But let's say you do know what The Marriage Plot is. You've read some Jane Austen, or at least you've seen the movie and you know the drill. There's a girl, Elizabeth Bennet style. She's smart, she's well-read, and she knows what she's looking for in a man. And then there's the man, someone like Mr. Darcy, who's a little dark and foreboding, a little misunderstood. But once Elizabeth finds out there's inner beauty in the beast, she is overcome with admiration and love, and they get married. Hence, The Marriage Plot. And the more I read with full knowledge of The Marriage Plot, the more I had to laugh, because it's really all kind of a setup. It's a trap. It's kind of like when you watch a horror movie, and you know it's all computer-generated monsters anyway, but you're still scared. In this case, even when you know what the marriage plot is, even if you know it's just a silly little fictional device, you still care. You still want the right people to end up together, preferably at an altar. And it's even more infuriating as you watch Madeline do exactly the same thing. There she is, reading A Lover's Discourse by Roland Barthes. It doesn't matter if you haven't read it. I haven't either. Eugenides conveniently points out for you that A Lover's Discourse is a deconstruction of love. It sort of brings to light the insanity, the absurdity of this condition. But instead of making her feel crazy, reading A Lover's Discourse makes Madeline feel vindicated. Since she so identifies with the lover in the book, she must truly be in love. I see what you did there, Mr. Eugenides. Here we are, reading this novelistic deconstruction of the marriage plot, but instead of recognizing the discourse, we jump, just like Madeline, straight to the plot we so clearly recognize. It's all the satisfaction of being on WebMD, but for books. You just type in the symptoms and voila! Diagnosis, marriage plot. But because this is a modern-day marriage plot, there's a twist. What if Mr. Right isn't Mr. Right all the time? In Jane Eyre, Jane's broody suitor, Mr. Rochester, has a kind of monster in the attic, but what if the monster had been in his own mind? You see, Madeline's lover, Leonard, has bipolar disorder. Madeline dives headfirst into nursing him back to health after a mental breakdown, but even though Leonard is always there, the qualities that make him Mr. Right tend to come and go. And the more Madeline tries to make it work, the more you start to wonder if Leonard is the misunderstood one after all. Instead, maybe it's the eternally friend-zoned Mitchell Grammaticus. Or maybe it's love, the condition itself, an eternally incomplete study. A Lover's Discourse is, notably, a book in fragments. That was The Marriage Plot, and I'll see you book lovers next week!